Hey, it's Glines, and someone wrote me the other day talking about using functions inside Excel. So I want to do a little tutorial here. Let me bring over Excel. You've hopefully already seen this is my how to connect to Excel, my function for connecting to the active Excel object. So I'm not going to discuss that. Go watch the video if you haven't seen it. I'm just going to get rid of that so we don't see it, but it's in this file. And that's what I'm doing right here, is I'm connecting, I'm getting a handle or a pointer to the Excel. One for the application or two for workbook. I think in what we're going to do here, either one will work. Maybe we'll test that. But this is going to connect to that Excel spreadsheet. You know what? Let's see how I do that. Let me drag this. I do it down? No, up. Well, I'll do it sideways. All right, fine. There we go there, and pick Excel. Now I should be able to drag this over some. Yeah, there we go. So all I have in the spreadsheet is cell A1 has a value in it. So let me first demonstrate how I can get that. So I'll do a message box. Let's see, I need to connect to Excel, and then I can just do range, dot range, and then tell it where, A1, and let's do dot text, txt. So I'm gonna run this, and sure enough, it connected to the current active version of Excel, got what was in cell 1 and showed it in the message box, right? So that's easy peasy. I think value works, but value, if it was a number, this would show it with decimals. And so for things with text, I just like to use text, so I don't have to worry about it. If that was only numbers, we would see all those decimal points. So anyway, we can use text. Now, this little bit here, we're going to be reusing this over and over. Now, another thing I might want to mention is it might be a little safer to throw in active sheet dot range. That will tell it to actually make sure you get the active sheet in Excel instead of just any sheet. So this same thing, I can run it, still works great. Just because it's shorter, I'm going to do it without it. But note, you might want to have the active sheet. I usually use it in my code. So we're going to be borrowing this, and because that's getting us the value. And with the text manipulation, generally we're going to want to either search for a text value, possibly grab only part of it, use a regular expression on it, a string split on it. I thought of a couple examples here. So I'm going to comment this line out, and let's put this back in here. So let's have a message box. And then let's do substring. So this is just going to see if it can find it, right? I'm sorry, it's going to grab part of it. So we're going to say that's the value we're looking at. See where it says string there, and I'm using AutoHotkey Studio, right? So this is how I can still have my highlighting. So if I add a comma, you'll see I jump to the starting position. Yeah, starting position. Let's see. It looks like is going to be 4, 5. Is it 5 or 6? I always get confused on this. Let's say 5. I don't care to limit the length, so I'm going to leave that one blank, and I'm going to run it. And notice it just has, I think there's probably a space there, is some text instead of this is some text. So I've told it start at the 5th character. Let's change it to the 6th and see if it still leaves is. It did, and now the space is gone, right? So that's using substring with that range. And of course, I could then use it, manipulate it, dump it back into Excel, do what I want with it, right? So that's substring. Let's change this to instring or inster. And this is going to check for a value there, right? So this one is going to be the needle. So the haystacks on the left stays the same as the other one is, the range we're looking in. And let's look for the word and. So and. Now what this is going to do, if it finds it, it's going to return back the position. So I'm going to run this, and it says 19. And if we were to come into here, let's do this. Let's copy this, paste it here, and if we right there, down here, somewhere here in line 14, column 18, so line the next one over, the actual A, that's in the 19th position, right? So that's what that 19 is representing, and that's where, you might just use that as a logic. If this is found, do something, or you might use it in conjunction with the thing that we did up above. You might store this value. Let's actually, let's just copy this and I'm going to comment the one beneath it out, and instead of putting this, I'm going to put this here. So now when I run it, it's going to start with the and, right? And what's cool about this is this would find it, if I had other text to the left of this, it would search for the first and then it would find it and then take stuff to the right of it, right? So kind of like a regular expression, which let's go ahead and do that one next. But let me undo that, comment that one back out. Let's go back in here. So regular, let's see, did I have a third one I was thinking of? String split. Stir split's one of my favorites. Let's do that one first. Message box, % stir split. Again, do I have that copied? A little too much. Let me get rid of this. I think that was right. I might have added one too many. Oh, you know what? There we go. I had that end string there. I shouldn't have had that. It was probably a terrible way to show how to do that because it was confusing as all get out. Okay, so now we're back to just using this range, right? And we're going to split it, and let's split it on, what do you want to split on? Let's do the space, right? So that would dump it into an array. The nice thing I like about stir split is I can say, give me the second. So it's going to take the second, everything to the, well, not everything, but between the second space and then the space after that. So when I run this, it just is, right? So that says, hey, this would have been, if I did one, it would have grabbed, it said, here's the first one, let me get the first. This is the second, but it stops because of that first one, right? Is, you'll understand this, if I do 3, we're going to get the next word, right? Is sum, because it's splitting it on spaces, right? Again, these are great because Excel has some text functionality. They do have, you have to install the, I forget what's called a module or something for do regular expressions, but it can handle regular expressions, but you have to download it and configure it. And it sucks if you share it with someone and they don't have that. So doing it all in AutoHotkey takes care of this if you can have AutoHotkey installed. So that was with the stir split. And let's go ahead and do the regex one first. So regex match. Yeah. And you know what? This time I'm going to come up here and I'm going to get exactly what I want instead of hoping I get it. And I shouldn't have. There we go. There. So that's the haystack. Again, the haystack, the thing we're searching is always staying the same. The needle, let's say we want to grab the digits near the end, right? Or just any digits in a row. So I'm going to do like a star asterisk. Oops, I need my quotes here. I always, regex to me shouldn't be around quotes, but it is. So star asterisk, and then I want to do my parens because this is the pattern I want to grab. And I'm going to say /D, which means any digit, and I'm going to say any digit plus multiple digits in a row, right? So, and I'm going to collect that into, this is where it's saying, all right, where do you want the unquoted variable? Well, let's call this num. And because this is the first paren, now I'm not trying to teach regex here, right? I have I think about a dozen, maybe not that many, teaching how to use regex, but it's a bit complicated, but I'm just kind of walking you through what I'm doing here. So this is the variable I'm stored in, but when I do my message box, come on. I want to say num1 because that is the first grouping, these parens, right? That's the first grouping. So let's see if I did this right. So I'm going to run this. Oh, just the 4. That's interesting. I would have thought it would have grabbed. Oh, you know what? Regexes can be greedy or not greedy. And what I should do, I think, is have a question mark here. And this says stop at the first one, you find. Let me run this again. There we go. So now I just got the 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If I knew the digits were always at the end, I might do a string trim first and then take the things from the right, especially if I knew it was always going to be 4 digits. I could use some of the examples we did earlier. But regexes are great for finding patterns of things, like a pattern of a group of numbers, looking around stuff. So I hope that helps you understand how you can use AutoHotkey, some of AutoHotkey's text manipulation, string type stuff inside Excel without having to try to go crazy in Excel. And of course, I can get the values, then I can just set the values very similar to what we did in this very first one. Let me go ahead and comment this out just so we don't see the message box. And instead of saying message box, I'm going to say A1 text. Actually, you know what? I don't know. I've never tried this. Text : equals. I don't think this is going to work. So this didn't work. Let's see if it works. No, it didn't like that. But I think if I change this to value, that should work. There we go. And so that's how you can set the value in whatever you're doing. Now, the one thing I don't like about using AutoHotkey with this is I can't come into Excel and hit undo, unfortunately, because it wasn't actually like done in Excel as far as Excel sees the keystrokes and see what you're doing. It's just programmatically being done, so you can't undo it. So I couldn't revert back to what this was before. But I hope that helps. Between these things you can do, AutoHotkey is pretty amazing. The other thing you might want to do is loop over cells, and in Excel you can easily use a while loop. Look at my other video on that if you're looking for certain things. And there's, you can use the built-in functions in Excel as well. Those work great, but I can use a find and looking for stuff. But it's pretty helpful. Cheers.